What's good? This is JVB representing SPD, and that is sportsperdium.com. The Chicago Bears brought in some competition for Mitch Trubisky, a former Super Bowl winner, a Super Bowl MVP. And no, I'm not talking about Tom Brady. We know where he went. But the Chicago Bears made a trade with the Jacksonville Jaguars for quarterback Nick Foles. They traded the fourth-round compensatory pick that they got from the NFL. But they bring in Nick Foles, and Nick Foles is very familiar with the system. He's familiar with the coaching personnel. You know, that includes Matt Nagy, Bill Lazor, John DeFilippo. He's familiar with the personnel here in Chicago. Overall, I think it's a decent deal. I don't think it's the greatest deal. I don't think it's the worst deal. I will say that it is probably the easiest competition Mitch Trubisky could have had going into training camp. But nevertheless, they brought in a quarterback, somebody that can compete with Mitch Trubisky and quite honestly beat Mitch Trubisky out for the starting quarterback job. Like I said, you know, Nick Foles is familiar with the personnel, the coaching personnel. He's familiar with the system. And that's cool and all, but he did have a bad season last year with Jacksonville. You know, he got his opportunity to be a starting quarterback once again, and he failed. He got hurt in the first game of the season. Gardner Minshew came in, and Gardner Minshew played pretty decent. He didn't play great, even though all the media and all of them were blowing him up. Eventually, the Gardner Minshew magic had disappeared. So Nick Foles, once he was healthy, they put him back in the lineup, and he didn't play well. You know, he was trash. And it was a very disappointing season for the Jacksonville Jaguars and a very disappointing season for Nick Foles because coming off the whole Super Bowl, Philadelphia Eagles championship run, they paid Nick Foles $88 million and he failed. So now for the Bears, the hope is A, his presence will provide a spark in Mitch Trubisky. It will motivate Mitch Trubisky to become a better player, learn the system, and become a pretty damn good quarterback. Or B, Nick Foles can win out the starting job from Mitch Trubisky, and with his knowledge of the system, he can possibly lead this offense to bigger and better things, something that we haven't seen so far with Mitch Trubisky as quarterback. Now, I believe, you know, if you're Ryan Pace, you hoping that is A. You know, you hoping that he can bring something out in Mitch Trubisky. It can make Mitch Trubisky a better overall player because you drafted this man number 2 overall. You traded up one spot to draft Mitch Trubisky. All of your eggs are in the Mitch Trubisky basket. That's facts. So if you Ryan Pace, deep down, you don't want Nick Foles to beat out Mitch Trubisky for the starting quarterback job. You want Mitch Trubisky to win the job outright because your job depends on it. Now, if you're Matt Nagy, you need to worry a little bit, but not as much as Ryan Pace. You know, Ryan Pace made that decision before Matt Nagy was here. You know, he traded up to draft Mitch Trubisky. Matt Nagy was brought in the following season because he was supposed to be this offensive-minded guru that can mold Mitch Trubisky and make him a star quarterback. So far, that's failed. But Matt Nagy has that in his back pocket that he didn't pick Mitch Trubisky. That wasn't his guy. So he has that fallback. But now he gets a guy. You know, he gets Nick Foles, a guy who knows the system. And quite honestly, I believe it's the exact opposite for Matt Nagy. He wants Nick Foles to win this quarterback job. Now, if Mitch Trubisky plays and he's looking like the second coming of Steve Young or something, that's different. But if Mitch Trubisky is playing like Mitch Trubisky, and Nick Foles is commanding the offense better, he's making the better reads, making the correct audibles and all that, that's going to be Matt Nagy's guy because that's going to be the best option in his opinion to win games. You already have a high-caliber defense. You added Robert Quinn to go along with Khalil Mack, and I'm going to do a separate video on that, but you got a pass rusher that can get to the quarterback, that can complement Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, and the rest of that front seven. You have that now. You still need a safety, but overall the defense is good. So for Matt Nagy, he's thinking like, we have this pretty damn good defense. We just need this offense to be decent. And I know that's a blow to Matt Nagy because in his mind, he wishes his offense could look like the Kansas City Chiefs, the St. Louis Rams back in the day, the Indianapolis Colts back in the day. He envisions that for his own offense, but in this moment, being on that hot seat a little bit, you just want decent from your offense. If your offense is ranked in the top half of the NFL to go along with this defense, that should lead to a pretty damn good record. And now with the extra teams added to the playoffs, they can definitely be a playoff team. But all things need to go well, because if Nick Foles is trash and Mitch Trubisky is trash, guess what? Y'all ain't going nowhere. Ryan Pace will be gone. Mitch Trubisky will be gone. And Matt Nagy would likely be gone as well. So this is it. You got Nick Foles in now. And like I said earlier, this is the easiest competition for Mitch Trubisky. That doesn't mean Mitch Trubisky is going to win the job, but he has a pretty good chance at winning this job compared to, let's say, if they did bring in Teddy Bridgewater or they did trade for Cam Newton. If they traded for Derek Carr or Andy Dalton, even if they signed Tom Brady, all of those other quarterbacks really give Mitch Trubisky a bigger run for his money compared to Nick Foles. A few of them probably would have been the starter outright anyway. Tom Brady ain't coming to the Bears and having a quarterback competition with Mitch Trubisky. Like, let's keep it 100. Even somebody like Cam Newton, he is not fighting Mitch Trubisky for a quarterback position. He's going to be the starter going into training camp. But Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, they chose Nick Foles. All we can do is wait, and hopefully it ain't that long because of this damn virus, but all we can do is wait for training camp and see what happens. If I'm putting my money on it, start a regular season, week 1, Nick Foles is going to be the Bears starting quarterback. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you believe that they should have brought in a different quarterback, like a Teddy Bridgewater, made the trade for Cam Newton or Andy Dalton or Derek Carr? Let me know down below in the comment section, but I'm out. Like the video and share the video, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, take it easy. God bless. Peace.